Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Boss Rush Podcast, a great place to play games and be better. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deerigan. Alongside me, as always, the fresh new haircut, the wise Wisconsinite, Mr. Jesse Douglas.
How's it going, everyone? Yeah, I went with something different I haven't ever done, so.
Well, Jesse, at least you have hair to cut. This is what this hat's for.
True. Yeah, my cousin on Facebook, I had posted my picture of, and he's like, holy cow, he's like, you've got a lot of gray. He's like, you're too young to have all that gray in your beard. And I'm like, well, I've had it for a while, but I'm like, you know what? I could, I'm fortunate. I said for the most part, I got a little bit of a spot that's kind of balding in the back there, but I said for the most part, I got most of my hair and I can actually grow a beard. I said some people can't say the same, so I'll take some gray hair.
Yeah, that's fair. There's some starting to come in around here and up in here. And I'm just like,
Oh yeah, I have full on gray mutton chops. It really pisses me off because it needs to just get to the rest of the facial area and not just right here on the sideburns.
Yeah.
It's always been weird for me where I've just, for whatever reason, my beard, even before it was getting gray, it's always been a much lighter shade, almost like a reddish brown. And and my hair is, it's always been that way, that I've just always had a lighter shade, and then it gets darker. It would get darker here, and it would be lighter on the sides.
Also joining us is the PC Muscle Race, LeRon Dawkins.
What's up, everybody?
You know why you have so much gray hair, LeRon?
Because I am so stressed.
I wasn't going there. I was going to say you're older than us. But
oh! I mean, that is true.
To be fair, you don't look as old as you are.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, let's be honest here. You do not look like you're nearly as old as you are. So,
like I'm turning 46 in June, basically.
Yeah. So, yeah. Also joining us is what does Ed call you? The Indie
Insider.
Indie Insider. Dan Murphy.
You gotta make sure you enunciate that, or it gets very provocative.
Yeah.
Happy Saturday, guys.
Dan, is this your first time on this show, or were you on when Ed was hosting, or?
No, this is my first time. Usually Saturdays are kind of like my off days from doing anything, but Ariel decided to do a project where she's getting really into Instagrams where girls have power tools. So now she wants to like renovate the bathroom and do stuff. I'm like, have at it.
Oh my God. Why when you said girls have power tools, the first thing I thought about was that Satisfaction music video by Benny Benassi.
Wow, we're off to a great start already, guys. How's everybody's week? Everybody have a good week? Everybody hanging in there? This was
hanging in there for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My week was busy with this week with work. Like it didn't feel like it felt like whatever. Typically in my field, like usually the work is right after the first of the year, but for some strange reason they had like this week where nothing was going on. So I thought it was going to be like a like a nice like slow like gentle start to the year, and this week like Monday, bam, it was just crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a long crazy week at work too. It's just and I've worked over a couple of days, and then it's just like, I want to come home, but then like you have to control a terrorizing 2.5-year-old, and it's just like, crazy kids, man. Tell you what, if you want to have nice things, just either keep your kid in a cage or just give them away. I don't know. I spent like 20 minutes cleaning crayons off the walls today, so that was fun.
Oh man,
yeah,
that's a blast.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Were they the easy clean crayons? Because there are some that clean up real easily.
Or is
that because of the paint that they clean up?
Well,
real easily?
When we first moved into this place, my dad painted the walls with he painted the walls in our living room, and he put this coating where like if you get stuff on the wall, it just comes off easier. Still hasn't prevented me from going through like 3 magic erasers in the last 2 months. So
yeah, my daughter just turned 7, and we still occasionally have problems with her. She just likes to chew on things, like when she's like bored or whatever. Yeah. And so she's destroyed so many things from chewing on it.
My cousins used to do that when we were little. They used to like chew on pillows and blankets and stuff, like the corners of them, and like would just destroy the corners and stuff. It was just like, oh, wow, that's interesting. But then I still bite my fingernails, so that's try not to do that because my kid kind of started doing it. So whoops. Anyways, this is the Boss Rush Podcast, a flagship show of the Boss Rush Games video game podcast network. Each and every week, we come together with our friends from around the internet to talk about the games and everything we love about them. You can find the show on podcast services, YouTube, and our website every Monday morning. If you like the show, remember to hit that subscribe button, and please rate and review us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or whatever service you listen to us on. And check out our entire family of shows on BossRushGames.com, including Arsenal X, the Xbox podcast on Tuesdays, Nintendo Power Block on Wednesdays. Thursdays is Crossroads, the PlayStation podcast. Fridays, you get a little dose of Expansion Pack, and Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. So you can check that out. Also, check out our entertainment side of things. It's a good time. Anybody play anything fun this week?
I'm still kind of on the same stuff. Monster Hunter Rise demo. Cyberpunk's kind of taking a back seat right now. Final Fantasy VII demo. Not demo, God. Final Fantasy VII remake.
He's only played 20 minutes of it over the last year, so that's why he thinks it's a demo.
So, Laurent, I've hit this bug in Cyberpunk.
Oh boy, tell me about
this bug. Okay, so in the main storyline, I asked my friend how far I was. He's like, you only have like 4 or 5 hours left in the main story. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to blow through the main story, put it away, maybe start a new game when the Series X and PS5 patches come out. But then Pan Am calls me up. She says, hey, I need you. And I'm like, yes, you do. Yes, you do. So I got to do one of her side missions. Have you done the Panzer side mission yet?
Not yet.
Okay,
but I think what you're about to tell me, I've heard about this. Go ahead and tell me about it, because I think you're not the only person that's encountered that bug.
Yeah. So I'm at I don't think it has any story really implications. It's a side mission. It's further down Pan Am's side story stuff, but it involves a tank that you drive, and you have to go take out some people. Okay. The Panzer is like kind of floating before, like, you know, when vehicles load into video games, they hit the ground and they just kind of like sit there. It's still like it loads, but like whatever it landed on, it still thinks it hasn't landed, like when it generated the tank.
Yeah, I've heard about that one.
And I can't get in the tank.
You're playing the Xbox version on the Series X, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I have heard about that. It's plaguing both the console sides. I haven't really heard anything about the PC side with that particular mission. But you know what's weird? I've heard that the console versions has this problem with falling and floating cars. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I can't get in it because it's still like not technically where it's supposed to be, so it won't generate the next step in the mission. And like where my autosave is and my 3 like manual saves, because I manual saved it when I got to the camp. I can't go back. So like, it won't let me switch mission because technically I'm in the middle of a mission, and it won't let me go do the main missions. So now I'm just kind of like stuck, and I'm 8 hours into the game, and I'm like, I'm not restarting this garbage. I can't. I'm too far.
I wouldn't either. No, no, I haven't heard the PC side having a problem with that particular mission. But what's funny though is I mean, you know, CD Projekt Red, what was it, like over a week ago? They finally put out an official. Well, they put out an apology from the project director.
Yeah, I think that was earlier this week or Monday or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it was Monday. I don't know why. Like once we hit the weekend, like everything basically goes into like a haze of how far back it was for me if it's happening during the week.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, he admitted what a lot of people already knew. CD Projekt Red primarily develops for PC. So, they develop for PC and then they quality check. They quality check PC and then they kind of like push everything down, trickle everything down to the consoles. I've said it before, I'm happy that we got a PC game that actually runs properly, versus a multi-platform game where it's built on the consoles and then comes up to the PC, because we're always plagued with the bugs and stuff like that. I do feel bad for the console gamers, and I will also say this as a fan of CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk 2077. I will say that it's a shame that this stuff happened, because for all intents and purposes, it really should not have happened, and there's a lot that can be said. I'm not trying to sound like a shill about it, but ultimately, there should have been more time. If anything, they should have put the PC version out first, and then they could have pushed the console versions out in the next month or 2 months or 3 months. I understand it's the most highly anticipated game, of the last few years. And it's also the game that's coming at the end of the console cycle. And I think that might have been what the rush was. It was coming at the end of the console cycle, and they just wanted to see, if they can get a push, for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox Ones.
Yeah. Plus, when you have your shareholders saying, "Hey, you got to get this out because we have, Microsoft had a deal with them with the Xbox. They had marketing deals. They had all these other things that they probably had to get the game out before a certain time to fulfill those contracts that they already had out there. So, I mean, it's exactly what Microsoft was facing with Halo last year. You saw those monster cans, Doritos. And it's like, well, Halo's not even coming out till this fall. So, I mean, because they delayed it, and Microsoft probably had to pay some sort of penalty or fine for that, right?
Now what's really interesting, and hopefully anyone's listening to us or watching us right now, if they pay attention to the fact that he shouldered the entire blame for it. He didn't say anything about the pressure the shareholders putting on him, and we know, anyone that knows anything about business knows that your shareholders and your board of directors ultimately control what you do with your product when you're. Because, you might be the project director, but that doesn't mean you are the person that runs the entire show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everyone needs to take that into account, too. So, yeah, we can blame CD Projekt Red for the problems, but we also need to know there's an echelon above them that was putting as much pressure on them to get the game out as we were for just having the game released to us.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why, anytime we've had any kinds of situations with things happening with games, or there being some kind of stigma, with it, or reasons, and people in the past that, have said that they're going to boycott a game or whatever. But there's just so many there's so many hands in things. And a lot of the times, punishing a game for something usually is something that's out of the devs control, or there's a lot of things that happen, and it's unfortunate because then those people that are doing things the wrong way can ultimately use the devs as a shield, because you don't want to punish them. You don't want to punish the people who are putting a lot of hard work in to try to get things done. But at the same time, it's what you get stuck in a situation when there's so many hands in things that, it's really difficult to determine where the blame lies sometimes.
Yeah. But LeRon, you said you're playing the Monster Hunter Rise demo.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, I'm playing.
How is it? I mean, I'm sure it's a somewhat pared down version for Monster Hunter World for Switch. I mean, that's what I'm imagining it is.
It's funny because it honestly is a melding of like the old school Monster Hunter series plus Monster Hunter Rise. I don't really see where it's pared down so much from World, as it's basically taken World, made it a little more streamlined. Which is crazy because World streamlined Monster Hunter overall, but streamlined World to a point, because I guess I'm not sure if Capcom's development team is going for the more portable model for this one, because I mean, you know, it is on technically a hybrid handheld system. But it's funny because like me, as someone who's completely, you know, grasped like the entire mechanics and stuff in Monster Hunter World, going and playing the Rise demo, it's already familiar to me from the feel from World, but it's also like hitting a little bit of nostalgia because there's some of that old school stuff from the legacy games that's in there, and it's like, wow, like I didn't think it was going to happen. You know, like it's built on the skeleton of World, but it has a whole new like skin to it. I'm just hoping, you know, like if the Nintendo Switch Pro is a thing, like we're gonna see a better, you know, quality of graphics for the game, because I mean that's the one thing. Like the game looks great. It looks better than basically the previous games, not including World, but it still kind of looks like, you know, it's they've had to like put the graphics and fidelity into a box to fit the hardware and stuff like that. Because I was telling Ed,
I was actually surprised at how good it looked, though.
Oh, it looks. Oh,
given all that, great. Like I thought it looked great.
It looks great. It looks great. And I attribute that to the RE engine. It looks amazing. And first of all, like I didn't even think like, you know, Switch could handle the RE engine, because the RE engine was freaking amazing when Resident Evil 2 Remake came out.
Well, I think that's the thing. I don't think they could get it to work, but I think this is a revised version.
Yeah, I know they've had a team of engineers since the Resident Evil 7. Since Resident Evil 7 came out, they've had a team of engineers kind of working with a Switch dev kit, because so many people wanted Resident Evil 7 and probably 2 later on the Switch, and they couldn't get them to run, but they've been reworking that engine because they knew Monster Hunter World runs on that engine too, right? Like,
no, Monster Hunter World does not run on the RE engine.
Oh, it doesn't?
No,
it doesn't. No.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
no,
I
as
think,
a matter of fact, I'll look it up.
I think what they're wanting to do is kind of like unify. Oh, DMC was the game that's running on it. DMC 5.
Yep.
I think they kind of want to do what EA kind of theoretically wanted to do with Frostbite, where like they have like the engine can be used across multiple games, and then they can share ideas and tech and you know, little secrets here and there that each team is kind of working on, right? And they knew Monster Hunter is bigger on portable than it was bigger on portable than it was on consoles until World, right? So I guess
my main problem is why I'm kind of downing on the graphics, because I mean the game looks great. The game looks amazing. Why I'm kind of downing on the graphics is because like when I play it
because you're playing World on PC and now you're playing Rise on the Switch.
Okay, see,
you're jumping from Cyberpunk on the PC, where you have updated graphics cards, to a Switch game.
Yeah,
this one's pretty cut
I didn't want
dry.
to go there.
But no, I mean, but let's face it though. That's what it is, right? Is like anything running on a remotely even medium settings PC is probably gonna. Unless it's like a Nintendo first-party game, it's probably going to look better on a PC with medium settings than it will on a Switch. Let's just face the facts, right? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've played a lot of games on Switch that are better on other places, like Doom 2016, Wolfenstein 2, Overwatch, Darksiders. I've played all those games on the Switch, and guess what? They look better on my Xbox One or my Xbox Series X. Let's face it. I mean, it's not a secret.
Well, yeah, and like even remember like when the Switch first came out, we finally had it in our hands, and then we would try to go back to the 3DS, and it's like, what the hell, man?
I mean, it's the same thing, right? It's
just
like
put it on Switch.
It's like when Samus Returns came to 3DS after the Switch was like the greatest thing Nintendo's done since probably the GameCube, right? And it's like, oh, 3DS, I don't want to play this thing, you know? Like I kept my 3DS plugged in until about 2 or 3 months ago, right? And I finally put it away because I'm like, I don't know why I have this sitting on my desk charging. I'm never gonna play this as long as the Switch is around.
Honestly, why do I have mine sitting on the desk charging? I'm pretty much done. Like Samus Returns was like, I am so happy that I had Samus Returns before I had my Switch, because I think I've only had my Switch for like 2 years. I remember buying it right around Thanksgiving a couple of years ago, and the only reason why I jumped on it then is because I was like, I know me, like I typically want a new system during the holiday period, so let me go ahead and get this now around Thanksgiving, so when I go looking for it, I don't need to go halfway across the country to find one. But so Samus Returns was the last game that I played on 3DS, and I was very heartbroken, because I was like, man, why isn't this game on the Switch? When I got my Switch, I was like, why isn't this game on the Switch? Because I wanted to go back and play it.
Yeah. So I mean, I think we're gonna see a lot more 3DS ports to the Switch in the coming year, especially like A Link Between Worlds and anything Zelda and Metroid related that was on the 3DS. I can see moving its way onto the Switch this year.
I think my major
anniversaries.
Yeah.
I think my major letdown about Monster Hunter Rise so far is the fact that I'm going to do the PC versus console comparison right now. It's the backgrounds. Like, I mean, if you play World, man, the world is so vibrant. You see all the foliage swaying and all that stuff, and like in the backgrounds, they've got some stuff that's moving around, but it seems kind of static. And I guess that's the biggest thing for me. It's like I just need to downgrade my vision for the game. No, not the expectations, because my expectations are great for it. Like I'm enjoying it. I love it.
Nice.
I've actually started like just doing breakdowns of the weapons and the mechanics myself, because I'm just jotting stuff down. So me and Galatrad get this Monster Hunter show off the ground. Like I can go in there and do a deep dive and like make it seem like, oh, this guy's been playing Monster Hunter since 2004.
As someone who runs a podcast devoted solely to one game, I'm really excited to see what this Monster Hunter show is about.
Oh God! See, I've started sneaking around and watching Tower Casuals to see how you guys do it, because I don't know what format I'm gonna do.
I mean, our last episode was only 45 minutes, which is short for us. So
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I playing that game though. I haven't played a Monster Hunter game yet, and I keep picking it up, going like, "What the hell am I doing?"
Yeah, what are these? What are these controls? What are these controls, man? Like,
there's like no tutorial. There's like,
God,
they just throw you into it, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. And there's these like bugs that launch you in the air, and there's little monsters and big monsters, and then you ride a griffin. I'm just like, I finish it, I died, and I'm like, what the hell just happened in the last 20 minutes?
Yeah, it's like
that's
when
the one thing about go ahead, Corey.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it's like when Nintendo throws you a game and you're like, look, it's like when I was playing Assassin's Creed or something, and you expect a certain control, like a basic like it's any game on any other platform really, where like you expect a certain kind of generic control scheme, and then one or two things switched up here and there, right? Like, oh, I don't know, A's jump and whatever, and you go into something like Breath of the Wild, and it took me a long time to get used to that control scheme, and then I switched the buttons, and Y ended up being sprint, and I'm like, that still doesn't make sense. But it's like, oh, I've been playing Assassin's Creed, and I've been playing Cyberpunk, and I've been playing Destiny. I go into Monster Hunter, I'm like, you might as well just give me like a banana and some bongo drums to play this game with, because I have no idea what's going on here.
That is also the main problem I'm having with the game. Like, I'm having a hard time adjusting to the control scheme. And in all seriousness, I feel like right now, like for me, the Nintendo control scheme is the hardest control scheme for me. And I'm a PC gamer, but I'm more PlayStation than anything else. So I'm used to the PlayStation controller, and thank God the PlayStation controller can be mapped to damn near every PC game. Because when I'm forced to play on the Xbox One controller, it's not bad. But I do catch myself still having to look down at the buttons real fast to see which button I'm pressing and things like that. It just doesn't feel natural to me. And then you got the Switch with the ZL and the ZR and all that stuff, and I'm like, what? Why can't you just say left bumper and right bumper and all, or L1 and L2? Why
I've had the Switch since like day one, and that still confuses me.
It's like Nintendo.
Yeah.
Why do you guys do this? You do know everybody that plays your system. Like your system is not always their primary system.
Yeah, and then the B and A being switched around when you're used to Xbox.
Yeah.
I always I'd always hit A to pick things or whatever in or B technically.
But
on
the Switch does have button mapping, which is good because like there are some games like if you play like different systems and you're used to controls from another game, like you can button map on it and swap it around, which is good.
Yeah, I have a specifically for the NES Online, I have a button mapping thing because like when you're playing Super Mario, like A is run and Y is or A is jump and like X is run or whatever. I'm like, that's backwards. It's clearly backwards.
Also, can I yell at Nintendo for a hot second here? Because I played.
You do every episode.
I really hope Ed doesn't listen to this show.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ed's not here.
Ed's ears are burning.
What was the deal? What was the deal with some of the Mario games where it was? I'm looking at my Switch right now, and what was the deal with some Mario games? You were using the Y and the B buttons.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And not the BA buttons. What's the deal?
That's
with
what
that?
I'm talking about. Is like the NES Online is that way, and I'm like, I have to have a specific way to play Mario games.
It's like, oh hell no.
After playing as much Mario Maker as I did, that's like how my brain reacts to it now. And it's like it also like with the and Super Nintendo controls, like A and B were the same way on that as well.
Yep.
Yeah, Nintendo's just backwards. Actually, technically everybody else is backwards, but since the other consoles were more popular during like the GameCube and the Wii U era, like people have just gotten used to it. So I mean that's why Circle is accepted in Japan, right? Like
I'll be honest with you. I think the main reason why I have such a hard time with Nintendo and their controllers is because every single system is a brand new controller and different button designations. I mean, like the Nintendo 64 controller. I was like, what the hell, And then
I think everybody said that when they looked at that thing. That controller was clearly just made for Mario 64. And
Mario
then they're like,
64.
Oh, we have to live with this controller for like 5 more years. What do we do with it?
And then the GameCube controller comes out, and I'm like, okay, this kind of makes sense, but you have this yellow stick to the right, and it's like, what?
And why is the A button larger than every other button?
You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not even going to talk about the remote and nunchuck. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's not. That's
So I don't have a controller in front of me. So the X and the Y are the same as Xboxes on the Switch controller.
They're not.
Are they reversed?
Backwards. Everything's
They're
backwards.
Yeah.
X and
Okay,
Y,
so
X and Y are reversed, and A and B are reversed.
I'm wondering if like this is just me throwing it out there, but I'm wondering if it's because when you read Japanese, if I remember correctly, don't you read it backwards?
Yeah, from right to
don't
left.
You? Yeah. So I wonder if that's why.
It is.
As a
It's
matter
like
of fact-
they're
it's the same as the PlayStation controller, where circle was accept for everything and X was back for everything.
yeah.
Because of that. So.
Yeah. But like if you look at a Xbox controller, if you read right to left, it's A, B, X, Y, and so like, but in Japan, if they are used to reading right to left, that it would be A, B, X, Y, the opposite. So that's what I was wondering if maybe if that's the reason why they just went with it that way.
Yeah.
Versus the way that the Xbox does.
Yeah. So, LeRon, you playing anything else? I guess what are your impressions of the Monster Hunter demo, just real quick, since we kind of went off on a huge tangent on that.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's definitely sold me on the fact that I'm getting the game. I mean, as a Monster Hunter player, I knew I was getting the game, even though when they first announced the game, I was like, No, I'm too stuck on World, and I don't feel like learning the conventions of the game and all that stuff. But yeah, like having the demo definitely solidified it for me. And also the Capcom Cyber Attack also said that it's coming to PC, so I'm definitely interested to see how that happens.
And the way that Switch games are talking to PC games recently, you'll probably be able to switch back and connect your accounts and cross save, which would be awesome.
It's a wrap if there's a cross save and I can bring it directly over to the PC game. I'm just going to the PC.
Yeah. But are you playing anything else?
No, it's just those primarily. Like I said, Cyberpunk right now is kind of like on the back burner. But I do need to get on it because I need to have that game beat, and you have Final Fantasy VII Remake beat before Monster Hunter Rise comes out. So I've got a little, because Monster Hunter Rise and Return will come out on the same day. So I'm gonna have a loaded
get some
week.
Work.
Yeah. Jesse, what are you playing?
For me, just mostly Fortnite a little bit, just because I got did the whole season pass thing, and I can't wait because the next character is gonna be Predator.
Oh, is it?
So I'm excited for that.
When did they announce that?
Yeah,
I'm usually even though I don't play Fortnite, the last couple seasons I've been keeping up with it because it's like, oh, you can be Wolverine or you can be Storm or Mandalorian and Chief.
I think it was last or was it maybe this? Yeah, I think it was this Tuesday or something. When you see I like how they do it when you start the game up, if something new has been added to the storyline or whatever, they kind of give you a small little video that's kind of introducing you to what's changed or whatever. And so they did like a little video thing where where they talked about whatever, and then there was this Walden area that's like a jungle right now in the map, and so then your quest line, then there was characters in there that are said, hey, one of the quests was you had to go to this place and find they said something had crashed in the jungle, and that you had to go and look at find this pod, and then of course it's the Predator's spaceship that's crash landed, and then you'll hear the Predator sound sometimes in the jungle, but you can't actually see him yet because he's still cloaked or whatever. But because how they do it is you'll get a quest line for this character, and it's for everyone. So you're not going to have to pay for Predator. It's going to just be something that you have to do objectives to unlock them, which is nice. I don't like when they just put all the good characters behind a paywall.
Yeah.
I like that they do this, that they give you some good characters that you can actually just legit unlock by playing.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of been they'll every couple of days they'll unlock another part of the quest line to unlock him, and then it will say and then if you can look at the other quests, they'll say unlocks in 14 days, unlocks in and so they slowly unlock those things, and then at the end obviously you'll get to unlock Predator as the final quest line. So yeah, I'm excited. I've always loved Predator, Aliens, anything sci-fi pretty much since I've been young has just always been my favorite. I just love sci-fi stuff.
Now here's my question. Are they gonna have a good kill where he basically like skull and spine somebody?
No, I doubt it, because it's still more of a kid's game.
I just want to see it'd be really cool, and I doubt they'll do this because it's such a special character, although Fortnite's done weirder things, is if you kill somebody with a specific skin, you get that ornament for Predator. Like if you kill somebody with a Wolverine skin or something, you have like a glove with the claws coming out. Or if you, if you kill like Captain America, you get a shield, or you know.
Oh, that's cool.
Like if you kill Iron Man, you get to have like his helmet just hanging off your back. You know what I mean? Like I think that would be a really cool idea.
Yeah. They're the only character that's got something similar to that is Mystique, because when you kill someone as Mystique, you can then do your emote, which turns you into them.
Oh.
So then after you kill them, you can turn yourself into the person you just killed and then continue playing on as them.
Oh God. Oh God.
Fortnite,
it's cool.
Fortnite is the coolest game I don't play.
Right?
I just like, man, I know everybody like loves to hate that game, but I'm just like, man, I wish I was like really invested in Fortnite, because like so many cool characters and skins and stuff, and it's just like, man, no wonder they make a fortune every time they launch a new season.
Yeah, I mean, and and I feel like they do it fairly well and like, you know, right for the most part. Like you're not like, yeah, some of their skins and stuff can get pricey, but at the same time, a lot of the time it's because you're getting like a big collection of like 3 characters in one thing for like $30, but they're also, not only are you getting 3 characters and, you know, a bunch of things or whatever, but you're also paying for you know, a property that they don't have the rights to, you know. So you're, you know, obviously with anything, whenever there's some kind of property, you know, tied to it, it's gonna always up the price, you know. Like Nerf doing Fortnite Nerf guns, like those guns are always gonna be more expensive than their regular Nerf guns that are basically the same thing, just with a different shell, you know.
Yeah, and it's like when you bought Master Chief, you're like, oh, $30 for Master Chief, but then you're like, well, you get like 2 or 3 skins of Master Chief. You got you get the Xbox Series Cobalt, or not Cobalt, the matte black one skin. You get the gravity hammer. You get the, you know, little ship to fly down on, you know, and like the Captain America one, you get the shield. You get all these other things. So but still, $30 for a character is just ridiculous.
Oh, for real.
Yep.
Yeah, but I look at it this way, you know, like they had Master Chief Kratos. You know, like if you plan on playing that game, you know, and you want, you know, it can be worth it if you're actually going to be playing that game and using that character enough, you know, like where it matters at that point, or it doesn't matter, I should say, at that point, how much you paid for it, because you're still getting use out of it, you know.
Yeah.
Like I get it. It's definitely, like I said, they are, some of that stuff is expensive, but at the same time, it's also your choice. You don't have to buy it. You know, like, I mean, that, you know, ultimately that's what it comes down to. And, you know, and all the things that we've experienced over the years when it comes to, you know, like microtransactions and stuff, I'd have to say that I think they're doing a pretty good job of handling those kind of things. And
well, yeah, because,
you know, like,
it's not a surprise. It's like they're telling you what you're getting. They're telling you how much it costs, and like if you don't want to pay for that, you can buy the battle pass and do that stuff. Like I think that's the way you do it, especially for a free game, right? Like,
yeah, and technically, what's very interesting, and I don't know if you know this, but they do have a one-time lifetime return, where if you just decide one day you're completely done with Fortnite and you're never going to play it again, you can say, I want to be refunded for everything that I've ever bought. And you can, but you lose your account, basically. Like, I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Like, you forfeit your account permanently, but you can basically, any money that you spent in the game, you can actually get all completely returned. And I think they did that because so many parents, you know, have had where kids will buy stuff and then without them knowing, kind of thing. But yeah, because I don't know the 100% base 100% that's how it works, but I mean, there is one thing that I've always noticed where it says like a lifetime return or a full return, and then it said something about like, if you do this, you will lose everything, and you'll, like your account and everything will be completely shut off, I think it said. I'd have to look into that more before I say that 100%, but it is something along those lines that they do have an option of, which is interesting.
That's crazy. You played anything else?
Yeah, I played a little Watch Dogs Legions. I've been progressing a little bit more in the story. I honestly, this week I haven't got a whole lot of gaming in. But I mean I did play some Watch Dogs a couple times this week. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Right now is just like honestly, this end of the last year and the beginning of this year, I've just kind of been in such a holding pattern. I'm waiting for all the games that I want to play to get the upgrades,
right?
At least the ones that I know are, and like things like Cyberpunk and stuff. I'm waiting for the upgrades before I even think about finishing that game or starting it, really, because I mean I did technically start it, but I think I'm only like an hour in or something like that. So yeah, it's kind of been really hard to get excited or start something, because I want to wait until the better versions are out before I even play them, because
right,
like Control, like I'm waiting for that to come out, because technically right now I could play all the expansions because I bought it, but the Xbox Series X ones aren't, isn't available yet. So
yeah, the things for Control 2 are crazy, because it's like you can run it at 30 frames a second at 4K with ray tracing, or you can play it at 1080p with no, or 1440p with no ray tracing at 60 frames. So
yeah,
still kind of, I don't know. I feel like I realize these are older games that they're upgrading, but I still feel like, when is that? Like Miles Morales does it, right? Like you can run it at 4K 60 with ray tracing, and it's like, where's that?
No, it's only
4K 30. It's 4K.
No,
30.
they added a 60 frames 4K mode with ray tracing in it.
When?
About a month ago. It was like a part of a major update for that game.
I gotta check that.
Because you can run it at 60 frames with ray tracing.
In Fidelity mode?
It's like an in-between mode. It's like this in-between mode.
I gotta check that.
Maybe it's not 4K, but it's higher than 1080p. Well, I guess it can't be on PlayStation because there's no 1440p mode. So it's got to be 4K.
Well, I don't know. Apparently they snuck that in for Star Wars Jedi Order. We talked about it on Crossroads on Tuesday.
Well, it could be checkerboarded 4K.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm thinking, is it's probably upscaled like checkerboard 4K, so it's like technically it's running 1440p, but it's being it's being upgraded to fake 4K or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan, what are you playing?
I picked up a game called Mercenaries Blaze on the Switch. A few weeks ago, Laurent, Ed, and I were talking about Final Fantasy Tactics, so I got the itch to play a game that was pretty similar to it, and this actually scratched the itch. It's really, really good. The battle system's almost similar. Same thing with the graphics. So I've been having a good time with that. And
what's it called?
It's called Mercenaries Blaze.
I'm gonna look this up Keep
That's
talking. Keep talking.
that's on
I'm
Switch?
looking. I'm just looking
Yeah,
at
it's
it
on
up.
Switch. It's there's like 4 games, I think. My friend kept bugging me to play this one, and finally I just started playing it. So it's almost like a 1-to-1 of Final Fantasy Tactics. It's really good. And it's short too. That's kind of what I needed.
Oh, nice. I'm looking it up right now. Oh, I've seen. Okay, I know what these games are. Okay,
Yeah,
like
I think it's
the
20
mercenaries,
bucks.
like the Mercenary Saga games or whatever.
Yeah, this is the only one I've played, so I can't really say if the other ones are any good or anything, but I would imagine they're all kind of similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Oh, wow,
would
this
probably
looks
be
cool.
something I wouldn't mind checking out because yeah, like I do like obviously Final Fantasy 7, and I liked 10 and 10-2 and stuff like that, but I like most of the Final Fantasy games never really I never really got into, but Tactics was always one that I really really liked.
I
Oh,
say,
this
And
looks
you know,
cool.
I say hands down, Tactics is until remake it came out. Tactics is my favorite. The one I would say is my favorite Final Fantasy game. Period.
yeah.
Where's my War of the Lions Switch version?
Seriously.
War of the Lions is staying on PlayStation,
I don't care. Where's my Switch version?
PlayStation and tablets.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tablet.
I think the original Tactics game is probably my favorite strategy RPG. Like as
Yeah.
much as I like the Fire Emblem games and most of the other games I've played, I think Tactics is really the only one that holds a place where I feel like I could play that a million times.
I think
Yeah.
I think what edges Tactics out for me over all those all those types of RPGs is just the artwork and the level design. Like I think that's really what it is, because I feel like every other game I've played after Final Fantasy Tactics, I'm always comparing that type of game to Final Fantasy Tactics. Even the GBA games, the GBA technically sequels to Final Fantasy Tactics, I was still comparing them to that game.
Mhm.
Right.
I just prefer that type of like of mode of playing a game like that, over the like the where you had to kind of pick what you were gonna do and then wait, like the older JRPGs, and then and like the newer ones, I do like the idea of being able to run around and more of a live, like real time whatever, attack modes and stuff like that. But there's just something about those tactics type games, like the Mario Rabbids and the Gears Tactics and like all those kind of games. It just works like that system just works so well for certain types of games. And yeah, and I'm more and more, I still can't get into XCOM for whatever reason. Like that game on paper, I should love that game, like more than anything, but for whatever reason I feel like it's a little bit, maybe it's a little tougher, and because that's not something I play a whole lot of, game wise, like I probably could get used to it and stuff, but like that in Year Zero was kind of the same. That game is an amazing game, but it's it was a little harder, on the harder side for me, because I'm not used to that kind of game. But yeah, those kind of games are always usually a hit for me anyways. So
Yeah.
I would love to see a tactics
this
game
one's
come back.
This one's been really good, so I'm glad I'm playing it.
Yeah.
And then last night I actually picked up Mega Man 11 and played it for hours.
Oh yes,
Wow.
yes.
Yeah, it I beat it a couple of years ago and I haven't picked it up since, but I'm working on another project that we'll see soon. But Laurent and I again we're talking about Mega Man, and I just got the itch to play 11 again. Man, this game is good. It's like a love letter to the old NES ones with one new little gimmick in it, and
The gimmick is the slide, right? Or the dash through or whatever. I forget. It's been so long since I played Mega Man.
there's like a slowdown. There's a
Yeah.
slowdown and a power thing.
And the overdrive, yeah.
Yeah, and if you in like once a level or something, you can do both at the same time. But yeah, the levels are like really well designed. The spikes still piss me off. You know, it's fun. So I played that hard last night, and it was a good time.
Nice.
Oh, didn't the originals have a slowdown when you would go from one screen to the
next? Hold on.
Or when everything is shooting at you all at once.
Like, because I just remember when you're flipping to the next screen, it is always like that, like where you're slow motion and then it goes back to. Not that it, like it that just was the thing of its time, but. I'm not trying to diss because I love it. I love Mega Man, but
wow. Man, I've been going through like both my Xbox and my Switch to like, I don't know. There's nothing really outside of like, yeah, I want to play Cyber Shadow and I want to play Mario 3D World again, but like, there's nothing really until April that I really want to play. Like what were the 2 games coming out in April? Outriders I want to check out. I don't know if I'll get it day one or not because, let's be honest, game looks really cool, but it could also be like a Godfall situation where just kind of like maybe not.
That weird delay for April 1st has everybody at Crossroads apprehensive because that was one of our topics on Tuesday night's show. Where we're apprehensive now because of that weird April 1st date. Like when I was working at GameStop, and whenever we saw a date like that was like on the nose like that, we're like, oh, this game's gonna get delayed again.
Yeah. Pokemon Snap is coming to Switch in April also, but so like I'm really because like I actually am probably tonight. Actually, I'm gonna redo my little office area in here and have it completely set up, ready to stream stuff because I've been wanting to stream for a while, but it's not set up for that. So I've been kind of like downloading stuff, deleting stuff, and I'm like, okay, I need to optimize both systems of games that I will like to play at some point in the next 3 months. Will I get to all of them? No, but because I want to start streaming stuff again, and so
yeah,
I've been doing a lot of that. I've been doing a lot of back end work for us, but last night I sat down. I downloaded the 10-hour free trial of Madden through EA Play, and really made me realize that I don't really care for Madden. It's been a while since I've cared for Madden, and I do this every year. I download Madden and play it for like a week or so, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It hasn't. Still feel like Madden hasn't been great since PS2, and I'm just gonna keep riding that train until they make a new one next year's model, and I'll just feel like, oh, okay. Also, I was playing the Xbox One version because the Series X version does not have a free trial through EA Play, so that maybe has something a little bit to do with it. But I played 5 games online. I'm 4-1 online, and then I deleted it. I'm like, sweet, that was fun. Got blown out the last game I played, though. This guy was the Cardinals. I'm like, he's like, why are you the Cardinals, dude?
Because Kyler Murray is awesome to play with in that game.
I noticed.
Kyler Murray's insane.
I noticed. Thank you. I noticed. So I played. 3 people were the Chiefs, and 1 person was the Eagles, and 1 person was the Cardinals. And yeah, turns out if you hit Patrick Mahomes, he fumbles the ball like all the time in Madden. And if you just send 3 guys deep and you know how to play a little bit of defense, you can pick them off every time. So really hoping the Browns played Madden this week because they're playing the Chiefs tomorrow. And then I played a little bit of Star Wars Squadrons because it's free through Xbox Live Gold this week. It's one of those free play weekends. And like Josh has talked about it nonstop for, I don't know, well, not nonstop, but he's talked really good things about it the last couple weeks, or probably really since it came out. And I downloaded it and I played it a little bit, and I'm just like, this game's not for me. I like what it's doing. I think it's a cool game, and I know they're trying to get back to like the TIE Fighter versus X-Wing type stuff on old PC stuff, but I'm like, if you just gave me a third-person mode in this game, I would be all over it. But you can't. There's no third-person mode, and it sucks because it's like you're using the Star Wars ships. I want to see the ships, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it does,
that is a bummer.
but it does have a 120 frames a second mode on it, which I did, and let me tell you, it is a smooth experience.
Did it really feel like you're flying through space?
I kind of got a headache with how smooth it was, to be honest with you. Like when you're used to playing Destiny at 30 frames a second, and then everything switches to 60 and 120, your head starts to hurt because it's so smooth. And so I also, speaking of Star Wars, I also played a little bit of Jedi Fallen Order with the Series X enhancements, and it's
is it nice?
it's still a good game. Yeah, it's really, I like that game a lot.
Yeah, those are live now, aren't they? The enhancements.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you have
I'll have to download that because see, I've been waiting with that game too to finish that until we got these upgrades. So now's the time, I guess, to download that again because I still haven't finished it.
Yeah, I still don't like how there's no like fast travel in it, like at all.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can't stand that either.
That bothers me, but I mean, it's part of the game, I guess, but still, it's just like, come on, just let me, like, at least when I get to where I'm going and I need to go back to my ship, at least give me the option to just fast travel back to my ship, you know? Like, that would fix a lot of the issues I have with that game, but it's still really fun. It was a really smooth experience. Like, game looks great with these enhancements, so played a little bit of that, and then, again, I played Cyberpunk until I couldn't play Cyberpunk anymore. So.
Until it bugged out on you.
Yeah. But that's it for me. We're going to move on to, let's see here. Man, I can't believe we've been going this long already. We're going to touch on the topic of Lucasfilm Games and the games that they kind of are making and the future of licensed games. Because it seems like there's a lot of great ones coming, right? I'm just gonna throw a few of them out here, and then we can kind of just talk about really the Indiana Jones and the Ubisoft Star Wars game is kind of what I want to talk about. But future licensed games: Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order sequel, the Ubisoft open world Star Wars game, EA's unannounced Star Wars project, which a lot of people think it's Battlefront 3. Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, Machine Games Indiana Jones game, Warner Brother Montreal's Gotham Knights Batman game, Rocksteady Suicide Squad, Avalanche's Hogwarts Legacy, which just got pushed to 2022. Rumored games are NetherRealm's Injustice 3, Insomniac's Spider-Man 2, Eidos Montreal's Guardians of the Galaxy game, and Ubisoft's potential Marvel project, because we know they've pitched Disney on a Marvel project. So, I mean that's just a handful, right? I'm sure there's more. Turns out when you look up upcoming licensed games, everybody's like, "Oh, licensed games suck," and that's all Google gives you. So,
well, yeah, that hasn't been the case since like what, like since and SNES or well, I mean during PlayStation.
No, the
like
360
one,
had some pretty
some
bad licensed games, like the Transformers games. Let me tell you.
Well, I mean, there were bad ones, but I feel like it wasn't like it used to be that every single licensed game was bad, except for like it was the opposite. There was some exceptions, but most of them were bad, and now it's kind of flipped. Like I feel like since PS2, or PS3 or whatever that it's kind of the opposite now, where you do have some bad ones, but a majority of them are good.
I feel like the Transformers Cybertron series and the Batman Arkham games were like the turning point of licensed games really seeing a quality change.
I can agree with that. Yeah.
I mean, we had some okay ones, but Arkham, especially Arkham Asylum. Arkham Asylum is my favorite Batman game, but like especially with that, and then Fall of Cybertron specifically, the Transformers game from High Moon. Those games are amazing, and now we're seeing all kinds of great stuff. Like Spider-Man's awesome. Fallen Order was pretty great. Battlefront 2 got there right after its huge, crazy microtransaction debacle. But I don't know, man. I think the future of licensed games is actually looking pretty great because I feel like people are taking care of the products now, and they're setting up game divisions to license games out to studios who know how to make games instead of Disney Interactive hiring a bunch of not no talent game developers, but they're not like a Ubisoft or a that kind of thing where I feel like Disney kind of setting up these, like Disney Interactive kind of has come back with John Drake kind of heading that up, now Lucasfilm Games and the Marvel game studio stuff, and really hearing pitches from studios who know how to make great games really kind of put these things together. So
yeah, well, and like you said, and we'll talk more about this, but like the guys who are working on the Indiana Jones game, those guys are all big fans of Indiana Jones. So like,
and killing Nazis.
They're like, yeah, exactly. Those go hand in hand. But yeah, that's the thing is like now, it's not unheard of where anytime some kind of big name franchise like Indiana Jones or Star Wars, developers get that and they get the opportunity to make a game. Usually it's, everyone that's working on it is old enough where they're like massive fans of that. And that always helps, just look, like we were talking before the show, just look at like Mandalorian, the TV show, like all those people working on that show are, we're really big fans of Star Wars, and they're doing a really good job with that show, and I think it makes a difference when you have someone who's really passionate about the project that they're working on.
I always thought it was really weird when companies would just go with some I'm just gonna say random, just to be a little more polite, a random, because because like they have a pedigree for something, but they don't really know the material. Like for example, when you guys heard J.J. Abrams was announced to be the director and the lead for the Star Wars reboots, what did y'all think? Because me as a Star Trek fan, like I already had an opinion as soon as they said he was running Star Trek. I was like, oh no.
I still like him. I still like a lot of his stuff. I do have to say that like probably I have been more of a fan of his original stuff more than something like this, but I don't know, man. I really love his movies a lot. So his movies. I was excited for it, and like there's some TV shows that I've watched that he's also been a part of. Like regardless, I know a lot of people did not like the end of Lost, but like overall, I really enjoyed that show. Like,
what was it about him on Star Trek that you didn't like, Laurent?
Oh boy, here we go.
Well, I need to know.
I liked that first movie.
Yeah, see, I didn't mind the first one, but I honestly, I'll be honest, like I'm not like a super Star Trek fan like you, Laurent, but I did grow up with Next Generation and watching that like with my mom and like just absolutely just falling in love with that show. Yeah. But for whatever reason with the movies, I'll be honest, I was kind of bored watching those movies. Like it didn't do a whole lot for me.
The main problem with the way a lot of us in the Star Trek community call the Abramsverse. The main problem is that like now is a push to have like a high octane sci-fi flick. And traditionally, Star Trek has been a cerebral show. Yeah, there's action in Star Trek, but it's always one of those, like there's a philosophy behind what's going on in the episode or the movie per se, and honestly, you look at some of these fight scenes and it's like, man, why is all this Star Wars in my Star Trek? It just,
and that's why he started running Star Wars.
It's just yeah, and then according to a lot of fans, he didn't really do that service either. I mean, we need to just talk about it on a separate. But basically where I was going with this though is like it's always easier to get people who actually have some a connection, like whether they're a fan or whatnot. If you have a love for the IP, like they're pretty much going to take it and run with it and do something that's is going to make people appreciative. Look at Respawn and what they did with Jedi Order. I mean, I don't know how much Disney had their hands in that project. I don't know how much EA had their hands in that project, but obviously those guys at Respawn, they knew their damn Star Wars, because I mean, Jedi Fallen Order is the first game in a long time, a Star Wars game that I was enjoying.
I would say it's the first great Star Wars game since probably I would argue since KOTOR or something.
KOTOR, yeah, because the Old Republic was not it.
I liked the Unleashed games and stuff. Those were fun.
They were fun, but
they weren't great games. Let's be honest. They were good. Yeah. Let's mash some buttons and play with some force powers and use some lightsabers.
They needed that. Those games for sure needed some more QA, because it was real easy to fall through the floor.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, to go back to the Star Trek thing, Laurent, as someone who's never watched Star Trek anything ever except for that first J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie. I really enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
could it have been better if there was more solar flares?
Lens flares,
lens flares. Yeah,
that was the other thing. That was the other thing too. It was so bright. It was so bright. Yeah. I guarantee you, once this podcast is done on the air, I guarantee you, like fans of the reboot Star Trek series are probably gonna be all over my mentions in social media.
That's fine. That's fine.
They were what they were. They honestly, like I said, I don't think they were horrible movies, but there was just something that was missing from it that just it didn't quite grab me like I was hoping it would. I mean, and then again though too, that could partially be that I honestly I don't care about that original series.
Most Trekkies don't. I'll be serious. Most Trekkies don't.
Well, I mean, you have Spock, and everyone loves Spock. I mean, let's be honest. But that that's all you hear anyone talk about that first series is Spock. That's it. But for damn near every modern fan, typically Star Trek started with the Next Generation for them, because I mean the original series was out in the 60s, there's no real connection to that. I was born in 75, so I got introduced to it because I was a little kid, sitting on the couch with my dad watching the reruns,
Right. It's the same way it's the same way we watch these old Disney movies with my kid, right? You just introduce to them without having any knowledge of where they came from, right? I mean,
you're right.
Yeah. Though the original movies, I loved some of those original movies, the Star Trek movies. Even in and that's, I think that's it. Those are some of those original movies. Even not knowing much about the original series, I still was able to enjoy some of those movies. Whereas whatever those movies had, the J.J. Abrams ones just didn't quite.
Not.
It was almost too fan servicey in certain ways that just a regular regular people who don't know anything about it, a lot of that stuff would go over your head a little bit.
Completely over their heads.
So I don't know.
So since we're on the topic of licensed games, and we kind of threw out the ones that are out here, right?
Mhm.
I just want to pose this question to you because we're not really going to talk about this because I know LeRon, you guys kind of talked a little bit about it on Crossroads, and we're going to talk about it a lot on Arsenal X tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
But what I want to do is pose a question: what license what do you guys think would pair great with what developer? What license game would you like to see from what developer?
Oh, you know what? The next Alien game needs to be done by the Dead Space people. The Project Callisto team.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Callisto Protocol team. I'm sorry. The next Alien game. Especially if if they want to just take another stab at Colonial Marines. Like do us some due diligence this time. But then again, if the Callisto Protocol takes off the way it is, it's a whole new universe, and we could get multiple games in that series for a long while. And don't even talk about the PUBG, factor in it. Don't talk about
It's
that.
technically the sequel to PUBG.
How?
I don't know. I'm just telling you what it is.
We'll find out.
It's because you're going to be able to
Hopefully
wear
they'll explain.
you're going to be able to wear like a frying pan as a helmet, and a
You gonna
trash.
jump? You gonna do a Halo jump into the prison or wherever it's at?
Exactly. It's you're going to see the zombie chasing after you with like this broken stick and a lead pipe, and
I want to see. I know there's a new Indiana Jones game coming out, but I wanted to see Naughty Dog do it because the Uncharted games reminded me of Indiana
hell
Jones
yeah.
so much.
Hell
So
yeah.
that was one I wanted to see. But hey, we'll see what Bethesda does with it.
yeah.
And in my opinion, I'd rather see the Tomb Raider people
that's
do
what
it
I was going to say.
because me personally, like I have no affinity for Uncharted whatsoever, but Tomb Raider has always been my games.
All right,
That's
so Corey, from now on, don't invite me to any show that Jesse's on. I just won't stand for it now.
I mean, it's almost the same for me though. Like I like Uncharted enough. Like I think they're fun games, but like I think Tomb Raider is like way better in terms of gameplay and like what I want from a.
Yeah.
Well, you see, I can't disinvite myself from a show that you're on without disinviting myself from just Boss Rush games.
No, like I
You really think Tomb Raider's better than the Uncharted games?
For me,
Uncharted 2 is so good.
I love Uncharted. I think Uncharted 2 is fantastic. I think Uncharted 4 is way too long. I think it doesn't have enough comedy because that game when Amy Hennig left that project, that game turned into something totally different that I didn't really care for. Right?
Hey, Neil Druckmann did a good job picking up where he left off, though. I mean,
It felt like a prequel to The Last of Us with how serious it was. I don't even care. Like I don't. I still think Lost Legacy is actually the second best Uncharted behind 2.
Uncharted, yeah.
I think Lost Legacy is amazing.
That's the thing; they're all good.
They are all good.
told
I think
people-
one is okay. Like it's a good foundation for a franchise. 2, they did the Ubisoft thing where like the 2 is just like it's almost a perfect action game. I think 2 is great. 3 feels like more of 2, and it just kind of felt like I still think 3 was a little bit too long, but like I was like, okay, this feels like the end of a trilogy. This game feels like, every time a third game comes out, you're just like, okay, I've played this before. I'm ready to move on to something different, right? And I think that's where obviously The Last of Us came out. But I don't know, for some reason, just like the gameplay stuff, I think Tomb Raider does the gameplay stuff a lot better. From a cinematic point, Uncharted is unmatched. From a gameplay perspective, I think Tomb Raider plays better.
I've always told people when they ask me about what Uncharted is like, what the experience of Uncharted is like, I'm like, just imagine Indiana Jones and Tomb Raider had a baby, and this is your game.
That's fair. But yeah, I would have really liked to see what would be really cool actually. It would be really awesome is if Machine Games brought in Amy Hennig to work on Indiana Jones.
Yeah. I was about to say Homegirl needs a
great.
job. I was about to say Homegirl needs a job, but I'm not sure what her employment status is right now. So but
She has her own studio now. She's working on a third-person action adventure game. I do know that. But I'm gonna look up what her thing is right now. But yeah, I would love to see her work on like. She said in many interviews that she's clearly inspired by Indiana Jones. Well, guess what? There's a big Indiana Jones project that Todd Howard is executive producing. Just shoot him an email and say, "Hey, I'd like to, basically."
She must be busy.
Yeah, but
did you pick a game that you?
Me?
Like I was just trying to think of something that, like, as far as
I mean, you know me. I want a Ninja Turtles game in the vein of of Batman Arkham mixed with the Nemesis system from the Shadow of Mordor games. That's what I want. That's
yeah.
I want a big, huge, open city, kind of like the Division, but you're the Ninja Turtles, and you can go down into the sewers, and there's like this big Metroid-style maze that you can unlock stuff once you get further and everything. That's what I want. That's what I want. I don't care who does it. I wouldn't mind. I don't care if it's Rocksteady or not. But I think Warner Brothers Montreal does a pretty good job of that stuff too. So of course we'll see what Gotham Knights looks like because there's 4 distinct heroes in that game. Just throwing it out there, different moves. So, but that's what I want. But do we want to move on to these questions and answer these questions real quick before we get out of here?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
All right. So our first question, you can email us at bossrushgamespro@gmail.com, or you can tweet at us at bossrushnetwork. Just like Sam Hall did. He says, "Hey guys, wanted to know what kind of things you'd like to see from Microsoft this year regarding acquisitions. Do you think they'll acquire any other companies?"
I know this is old news, but after the way they got shot down, trying to acquire Nintendo, they need to stop.
That's hilarious. Yeah, but that was 20 years ago, though.
I know. That's why I said it was old. No, but in all seriousness, they need to stop.
They weren't wrong though. Nintendo isn't the greatest at hardware.
The Switch is the best thing they've ever made.
And it still could be better.
Yeah,
weren't we talking about that?
The thing is, they just didn't need Microsoft.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially at the time because they had no history of console stuff.
I honestly have to think about some studios that are kind of like stalled in the water, because I can't think of any off the top of my head. They're stalled in the water right now. It seems like right now with us crossing into with us crossed over into the new generation, like it seems like there's a fire, like everything's been reinvigorated right now. So I can't think of any particular studios that are like stalled out or anything. I can think of a bunch of studios that are closed, and like who's going to acquire closed down studios? They're going to acquire their talents, but they're not going to hope so. I can't really put an answer out there without putting some real thought into it, and we don't have enough time to worry about me thinking about it on this show.
I really don't play Xbox, so I'm gonna go ahead and say I hope they don't acquire anybody else anymore, so I could still play the other games.
Exactly. That's the same thing I'm saying.
You could buy an Xbox to play these games.
Kind of hurt me.
Or you could buy a PC, to play those games.
Or you can wait till Game Pass comes to Switch at some point as a streaming service.
You know what? That's probably the next thing that's going to happen. That's probably the next announcement that's going to happen. Like, it's going to be something that just floors people who are probably waiting for the new Nintendo system to come out. Because when Cuphead and the Xbox Live thing infiltrated over to Nintendo Switch, I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I don't know. Like for I've been kind of thinking about that stuff a lot with the Indiana Jones stuff, like whether that's gonna be
exclusive
either on Xbox only or I don't know.
I mean, Disney has a
interested
precedent of setting things being not multi-platform with Spider-Man, right, and that kind of stuff. So I don't think Indiana Jones will be exclusive, but I think it's a real possibility it could be. And if it's not exclusive, it's Game Pass day and date. So if you have an Xbox,
yeah,
you're getting it anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Actually, I will throw a name out there.
Uh-oh.
They might mess around and acquire Ubisoft with the way Ubisoft has been handling things lately.
Dude, I doubt. I don't know, man. Ubisoft is too big for that. I
You think so?
Yeah.
Especially if now they're getting to make Star Wars games.
Okay, yeah, there
Like,
is that. There is that.
I
did just forget about that, even though we just spoke about that like 10 minutes ago in the last segment.
it's that old age. You gotta you gotta start doing those puzzles, Laurent.
I gotta stop.
Keep
eating
your
these
mind
Twizzlers
straight.
and actually eat some brain food.
For me, I think the one thing Microsoft needs is a Japanese studio. I mean, I know Tango Gameworks is part of Bethesda, but I don't think that's enough. I think they need someone like. I think Sega would be like. I know that's been a rumor forever, and I know people have been like laughing about that forever. But I think Sega is a real. I think it's a real opportunity for them to get in there because I don't think Sega's not popular enough to like say, oh no, they would never do that. It's not like a Square Enix situation, right? Where like their games are super popular, but also they have huge franchises that people do love. Yakuza, Persona, Shin Megami Tensei, Sonic the Hedgehog, Alter Beast. Like they have these franchises that people still love and hold on to, right? That Phantasy Star. I mean, that's something that I really feel like Microsoft is probably still pursuing, probably for the last 20 years. And if Sega Sammy's trying to get rid of their entertainment division and kind of focus on other things, right? Because that's been the rumor too, is like the gaming division is kind of not doing great numbers for them, right? They want to stick to arcades and health spas and stuff similar to what Konami's doing. I think this is a real opportunity for them to get in there and do something.
Yeah.
I feel like Sega would thrive with the home base too. Just that would give them an area to showcase like their Sonic games or something like that.
Plus, we can
because
get
just having
Dreamcast
it on every
backwards
platform kind of waters it down and makes it unpopular in a way.
Yeah. Plus, like, not that Microsoft doesn't have any like at least real kid appeal, right? Like, I mean, they haven't done anything with Banjo in probably 10 or 12 years. Conquer is a cartoon, but like if they redid Conquer, it would be an adult cartoon type thing, right? Like they don't have anything for that younger audience, right? And Sonic definitely appeals to that audience. And then also like they have zero appeal in Japan. Well, if you acquire Persona, Shin Megami Tensei, and Yakuza, that's your appeal in Japan, right?
I would hate that.
Yeah, same. Let's move on. This is starting to make me depressed.
Oh man.
What? Oh, just
Next question. Get
what's
this out
making
here.
you depressed?
I'm just
the
saying
thought
that
of Xbox getting even better.
I'm just
You know what? Xbox does need to get better. I will say that, and I've said it on a couple other shows. Like I was just on Arsenal last week, and I was saying like the one major thing that keeps me from not having an Xbox system, besides the fact that as a PC gamer, like 95% of the catalog shows up on PC anyway, especially the major releases, is that they don't have that one oomph factor that makes me say I have to buy this system. Like when the Xbox One was out, when they announced it, and I watched the show. Was it an E3 show or something, or did Microsoft have their own conference for that one? I can't remember. But when they showed Quantum Break, out of all the other trailers and stuff that they'd shown in that one show, I was like, you know what? I'm about to spend $500 and buy an Xbox.
Quantum Break is great.
See,
if
for
you like,
me,
if
the
you like
medium
Control,
is that game.
And,
So I'm excited for the medium to come out. So
and then a month before Quantum Break actually released, they turned around and say, "Oh, it's coming to PC too." I was like, "Oh, well, I guess I don't need to buy a system then."
Yeah, because that's kind of when they started their like Play Anywhere program, right?
Yeah.
Which eventually kind of morphed into Game Pass. But
yeah,
Quantum Break,
So
man, for those people,
they kind of need an exclusive.
but they won't because that's not their where they're going.
that's not what they're about.
Which is like, if you have a Windows PC, you have an Xbox basically built in, right? And if you play PC games, you're not gonna buy an Xbox for that.
But of course, the problem is though is that when Quantum Break did come out on the PC, like the Windows Store version of Quantum Break was so bad, it was broken. It was basically what I said about Cyberpunk. It was a terrible console port that came to PC. When the Steam version came out, though, the Steam version fixed all those problems and stuff, and that's when I actually played the game and actually got the chance to enjoy it.
Yeah. So, all right, we're gonna move on to the next question. This probably isn't the question for this show, except Dan can probably answer it because he's on Nintendo Power Block. Brian Kirk, who does Player versus Creator podcast, you guys should check it out. It's a really cool interview show. At Willow Horde, he says, would just love to hear about any Pokemon hype from the crew. All the speculation with Gen 4 remakes and all the other news with the 25th anniversary. Well, Pokemon Snap's coming April 30th.
Yeah.
There's my hype.
Yep. That's always been my favorite Pokemon game, so
I just don't like the Pokemon series.
I know. I seriously
I played Red as a kid, and I loved it when I was 7 or 8 years old, however old I was.
Yeah.
And I didn't play a single one in between that and Shield. I played Shield and I just didn't like that. It was easy. It was boring. I don't like collecting things in a game if it's just too easy. And then Pokemon Snap, I have no interest because one of the funnier things about me gaming is there's two things that really bother me in gaming. When you have to cook things and when you have to take pictures of things. It drives me crazy. So naturally, Final Fantasy 15 drove me crazy. Like, Breath of the Wild, you have to take pictures of every damn thing in the wilderness? Come on.
Actually, you can just buy those pictures if you get enough rupees.
Yeah, I'm not doing that either.
That's what I do.
So no, I don't have hype for a game where you have to take pictures.
It's funny, weren't you popping popcorn the other day when Ed and I were talking about wash, rinse, repeat games, and the first game I tried it out was Pokemon. The first game even Sword and Shield, like Sword and Shield definitely was a new interpretation of Pokemon, but it's still the same thing.
Yeah, same thing over and over. So
look, it was fun.
I was a bad person to ask this question.
I think Pokken was probably the freshest take on the Pokemon franchise overall, because technically it was the fighting game, not being Pokemon Coliseum. It was the actual fighting game where you had a moveset and stuff, and you basically controlled the Pokemon, and they were beating the snot out of each other.
My favorite Pokemon game is Pokemon Conquest for the DS. It's basically Pokemon Fire Emblem.
Oh, that sounds pretty cool.
And it's basically like feudal Japan mixed with Pokemon, and you're mixed with these samurai warriors and Pokemon, and you're like, it's basically turns into Fire Emblem at that point.
Oh man,
it's really hard to find.
I shouldn't say Snap is my favorite. Mine is that fighting game, the Pokemon fighting game. It's pretty
what
fun.
LeBron just talked. The one
yeah.
Yeah,
still not getting it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brian. We're not Pokemon fans here.
Nellie's in the Twitch chat right now. She's like, Pokemon Stadium for the win. Now, Pokemon Stadium is a great game, but the problem is like it's very slow paced.
Yeah,
it's very slow paced.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad of a game either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been into the Pokemon like regular actual story-driven, more story-driven games. I've only really liked the offshoot stuff.
I gotta say though, in Sword and Shield, the music was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the music has been pretty good in a lot of the Pokemon games, but I think but that's also just like I like the music that you have in like animes and stuff, like all those kinds of things like usually have pretty good music.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. So all right, we're gonna move on to our last question here. Ashley Davidson writes in. She says, "What do you guys think is a great idea for a video game?" That's a pretty broad question, but I actually have an answer for this.
I'll start it off.
So, as most people know who listen to the show, I'm a huge fan of Walt Disney World. I love going there. I introduced my kid to some of the stuff that, kind of like the castle and all these things through YouTube and stuff. And on Xbox, there's actually a game called Disneyland Adventures where you can walk around Disneyland and like do tasks for the characters and stuff. I don't want that, but what I thought would be like not like a cool game necessarily, but just like a huge digital recreation of like amusement parks or theme parks or like kind of, I guess, cities or anything. Like I would like to see you create an avatar and you can just walk around Walt Disney World for however long you want. You know, I think that would be really cool. I'd be the first person in line. I'd probably be the only person in line. I'm going to be honest.
VR?
With you. But,
would it be a VR game?
It could probably be both, right? Like I would just like to go walk around and like see the stuff, like, because I mean it would be perfect for something right now during a global pandemic where we can't go anywhere, right? Like and kind of walk around and you know, it's like my favorite place in the entire world to go, honestly, and just to be able to walk around and kind of like see things without crowds or, you know, the fear of death would be. I think that would be a really cool idea. And it doesn't just have to be Disney, right? It could be like Universal. It could be like an amusement park that's close to you, or somewhere halfway around the world. Or, I mean, it doesn't even have to be an amusement park. It'd be like, I want to go walk around Paris for a while and look at the Eiffel Tower, you know? So.
I'm going to roll with a Xenoblade MMORPG.
Ooh.
I think that would be really cool because they have just such cool, vast worlds in it. And if it'd be cool to like travel from Titan to Titan and build your characters that way. So that'll be my vote.
Would it be like a Xenoblade 1 or 2 thing, or would it be like a Xenoblade X where you can make a mech and stuff and fly around?
I actually never played X because I never owned a Wii U. So
well, don't worry, it'll probably be on Switch in like a year and a half. So.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
That'll be the dagger on the Wii U's lifespan.
Yeah, I mean, there's only like 3 games left on the Wii U that are even worth porting at this point.
Probably Xenoblade X,
X, Wind Waker HD, and Twilight Princess HD. There you go. There's your 3 games.
Yeah, and those are ports from another system, so
that's fair. Still not on Switch.
I have a really big affinity for Capcom and a lot of their franchises and IPs and stuff like that. And a while back, I want to say during the PS2 era, I had an idea for like an expansive RPG, not so much an MMO, but an RPG where basically like you play a set of characters and they wind up, and each new every progression in the game, you find yourself in a different part of the Capcom universe. But the hook is that, for example, like your characters, if your characters land in the Street Fighter universe, all of a sudden your moveset changes to like the Street Fighter move list, so your battle system becomes that mechanic.
It sounds like you're describing the Capcom version of Kingdom Hearts.
Really?
Yeah.
Because for the most part, I thought Kingdom Hearts, you still had the same scheme though. Like, you know, it was just honestly Kingdom Hearts was just a bunch of button mashing, if I'm not mistaken, right?
You can play that way, but there's some depth to it.
Well, yeah, I know. I mean, with the magic system and stuff like that, yeah.
I mean, when you go to the Lion King land, okay, you become a lion, okay. You can't tell me that moveset is the same as.
Okay, I guess. I guess. Given that I don't have the biggest affinity for Kingdom Hearts, I guess I did kind of just make up a Kingdom Hearts game in the Capcom universe. But you know, like I'm just saying, like, you know, like jumping from Street Fighter to Resident Evil, you know, all of a sudden, you know, now you're shooting and having to look for healing items and stuff like that. Or, you know, definitely like Monster Hunter, like, you know, all of a sudden you have to pick up swords and stuff and try not to be eaten alive and things like that. You know, that was my idea. Like, beyond that, I've played so many video games that it's hard now to come up with something fresh and you know, innovative, you know, to change the game. Because I mean, like every game I play now, there's some element of some other game I played, and like I said, I played a lot of games. Like I've been doing gaming since Atari 2600. So it's hard for me to conceptualize what might be the next great idea for a game, because I mean I played everything from music games to puzzle games to freaking Sims, you know, and stuff like that. You know, and when I say Sims, I'm talking about SimCity. I've never actually played an actual Sims game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesse, what about you?
I've been trying to think of like other than just repeating stuff we've talked about in the past, like because like obviously like you know ever since the Turtles came to Injustice 2 and like someone actually took the Turtles and made them look amazing.
Yeah.
Like like we've been talking about that forever, that we would love to see a dark like Turtles game with that kind of detail in the characters models. Like I mean they're like perfect in that game. But yeah, and then like you've got my things I've joked about, like the Kid Icarus Paperboy game.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like that, like I'm trying to think of like even just like properties, like movie properties or any kind of things that outside of what we've already have that we haven't gotten a game adaptation of. But I don't know, man. Honestly, I just would really like to get I want more Ghostbusters stuff, to be honest. I was even thinking like what if they did like a Ghostbusters like tactics kind of game of where you're like have to move into certain positions to like try to capture ghosts and whatever and kind of move your way through. Almost like a tactics, like Ghostbusters tactics, kind of done almost like a like a Luigi's Mansion kind of style where you're having to clear an entire building or whatever, and and have different. But I don't know. I just like my thing is I really loved the cartoons of Ghostbusters, including Extreme Ghostbusters. And I just want more stuff done with that property. I just love it, and it bums me out that like all I really get is every once in a while, a movie or something. Like I want more. I want something more with that. Like, because like I did originally on 360, I did buy that Ghostbusters game. And like story wise, there was some good story stuff there, but it was too much of just the same thing. And I would like to see a Ghostbusters game done by someone like I don't know, even like the Coalition or something, like do like someone who's good at like telling a really good story besides doing really good gameplay. I just want more Ghostbuster stuff. That's what I'm trying to say. Like we don't have enough of.
We don't have enough Ghostbuster stuff. Period. Enough Ghostbusters anything, because I read the.
Isn't there a new movie coming out?
Yeah, there is. But that's what I'm saying is like all we really ever get is like every once in a while a movie. I want more series. I want more, like Extreme Ghostbusters is legit like an amazing TV show. Like that I feel like no one even knows exists. Like, like except for the very hardcore fans. Like it was cool. It was like, like like what we wanted in a movie. Like they need to make that movie so they can, like the Star Wars franchise, move it forward, get new characters that we can learn to love, and like it just.
Oh, I had to look it up because I was like, Extreme Ghostbusters. I had to look it up. I used to love that show.
Yeah,
They only got one season. Wait, it's on Hulu right now.
Yeah, it's on Hulu.
Looks like we know what Ron's watching on his giant 4K TV tonight.
And dude, it still holds up pretty good.
Oh yeah,
I actually recently watched it.
They
holds up good.
they treat it like it was a sequel to the movies and not a sequel to the real Ghostbusters animated series.
Yeah.
Which was crazy because the real Ghostbusters animated series was treated like a sequel to Ghostbusters 1, not 2.
Yeah. Well, it technically was. Yeah, I guess it would have been the sequel to 1 because then then it's the 4 of them in the show, which instead of only the 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just would really like something because that Ghostbuster game, like it had I had hopes for it, but ultimately it didn't quite deliver like fully. Like I feel like they did justice with a lot of the stuff, but there still was too shallow of a game. There wasn't a whole lot of story stuff really being told. And I mean there was story stuff, but I feel like it was too stretched out. There was too much not like samey stuff going on, in between story beats. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I said something like Coalition where they're used to doing like a more story driven stuff that's actually like you actually feel like you're living the story and it's kind of keeping you still in the world and thinking about what's happening story wise. I think that's all we need is just something like that would be awesome for a Ghostbuster game. But
well, guys, I think we did it. I think this is a podcast that we recorded today. So I want to thank everybody for watching on twitch.tv/BossRushGames Live. You can follow us on Twitter at Boss Rush Network. You can follow our family of shows as well. You can head on over to BossRushGames.com. Please like, subscribe, share, rate, and review, or follow wherever you listen to our show. Remember, the show goes up live a week after we record it on Mondays. So if you're watching live, you get it early. If you want to wait, you got to wait till the following Monday. Dan, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at DCDM99.
Nice. Jesse?
Yeah, you can find me almost everywhere as Phantom NXS, and also hopefully this month I'm trying to plan with the ladies over at Bad Bitches Podcast, where I'm gonna join them for an episode of their drunkumentary episode where they kind of we watch a movie or whatever and commentate over it, and they've never seen it before, but we're gonna watch a little movie called Ichi the Killer.
Oh boy!
I'm so excited I'm just excited to see their reactions because it is one of the most messed up movies that you will ever watch, and it's just insane. It's crazy. It's hilarious. It's got every kind of emotion going on in that movie, and I'm so ready for it because they have no idea what they're walking into. So yeah, I'm hopefully this month we're gonna try. We've been trying to kind of plan that because I did do a Christmas episode with them, but Kayla is kind of moving and in the process of moving into a new home and stuff, and it just kind of got lost. I said, well, we could always release that as just a something down the line if you wanted to, because she just wanted to, the only reason she didn't release it is because she wanted to try to hit that Christmas, because we did Elf the movie, and it was a lot of fun. So I don't know, maybe that will eventually be available, but yeah, so I'm looking forward to that because if you don't know about that show, it's just a goofy, fun time, man. You can go. They're funny.
You can go to bossrushgames.com/network to find out more about the Bad Bitches podcast.
Yeah, definitely give it a shot if you like history but goofy, fun type stuff.
Yeah. LaRon, where can we find you?
All right. You can catch me every Tuesday night at twitch.tv/Exodus803 for the Crossroads PlayStation podcast show for Boss Rush Games. And also, you can catch me on social media at Exodus803. That's EXODUS803. And also my YouTube channel, which is Exodus803. There you go. Like, it's all universal, including my gamer tag.
Nice. You can follow me at IamCoreyInHD on Twitter and Instagram. You can catch me on a variety of shows here, including Arsenal X, the Xbox podcast, sometimes Nintendo Power Block, every Thursday on Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. You can check out all of our content here on BossRushGames.com. Again, remember to like, subscribe, share, rate, and review. Thank you so much for joining us this week, and until next week, we love you.
All right, take care.
Bye.